Hello everybody, I am Mike from the Rewatch Project podcast, and I am back with another edition of Front Row, these music performance reaction videos, and I am back in the peerless world of one Elvis Aaron Presley with a reaction to what looks like quite an early recording of a song called Old Shep. I do not think I know this song. If I have heard it before, I am certainly very unfamiliar with it. Those who have watched before will know that I'm embarking on filling in this incredible, glaring, egregious gap of Elvis Presley in my music knowledge. You know, like most people, I know all the big hits, I know all the big songs, I know the Hound Dogs for Don't Be Cruel, for Love Be Tenders, but I don't know the old Sheps, that's for sure. So I'll be getting to that in just a moment. A couple of quick bits of housekeeping, a reminder that I do appreciate feedback. Please do leave comments here on the channel, like, subscribe, and also ring that bell so you get an alert anytime I put out new content. Speaking of which, do check out the other content on this channel, the other music reactions that I do, in addition to the Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike, the podcast I do with my wife, where we go back and we rewatch some of our favourite film and television franchises, in addition to the other film, TV, music, and general pop culture related goodness that cohabits this channel. Subscriptions make a huge difference to the channel. It helps more people find us. And also, donations via PayPal are very much appreciated. But if and only if you can afford to do so without causing yourself any financial hardship, because we certainly do not want that. Gosh, not really anything else to say here except for Elvis, baby, Old Shep. No idea what to expect here. It's about a dog, I'm guessing. Who knows? Here we go, Old Shep.
When I was a lad, and Old Shep was a pup, over hills and meadows we'd stray.
I haven't done an Elvis reaction for a few days. This has been one of my bigger gaps. And it's good to be back. I've said before about the transformative, not even transformative, the transportational element of Elvis's music. It just takes you to another world. It's like the way that the piano comes in and then immediately that beautiful kind of high baritone, tremulous vibrato comes in with those ethereal backing vocals, and if you surrender yourself to it, which is hard not to, it just takes you into another world. You float away and you leave the world and you go into this other realm. It's truly transportational. I'm going to go back to the beginning because I want to listen to the lyrics on this one. This feels like it's going to be a really moving song. So let's give it its full day in court, shall we? Again, I should mention, if you're watching for the first time, I do pause these videos. I do talk over them. I'm sorry, these are reaction videos. That's how I do it. It is what it is. But I do strongly urge you to go and listen to this song in its entirety before I spoil it by talking over it in the way that I do.
When I was a lad, and Old Shep was a pup, over hills and meadows we'd stray. Just a boy and his dog, we were both full of fun. We grew up together that way.
Okay, this is going to make me sad, isn't it, this song? I can just tell.
I remember the time at the old swimming hole when I would have drowned beyond doubt. But Old Shep was right there to the rescue. He jumped in and helped pull me out.
I mean, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of nostalgia and sentimentality in the positive sense. You know, that term's often used negatively, which I've never really understood, about this song. And about listening to Elvis in general, you know, I think a lot of his music evokes this idea of the past and the ghosts of the past and the beauty in that and the simplicity. You know, we all do this. We all do sometimes when work and relationships and parenthood and all of the complexity of the adult world gets to us. We often go back to the things from our childhood because there's comfort and a memory of simplicity and clarity and honesty and purity there. And we can get that through listening to music, you know, that we grew up with, or watching movies, or playing video games, whatever your thing might be. And then you get songs that evoke this as well. This song is painting a really vivid, cinematic mindscape when you hear it. And we know, you know, particularly even in the mid to late 50s, which I'm guessing is when this is, that it's, because this is clearly a very early, you know, he sounds very young. He looks very young on the imagery on the album cover here. The idea, the figure of the dog or the pet in popular culture, Lassie, you know, Old Yeller, this idea of rescuing you from the well, but being a companion, but also not only the beauty, but the sort of the sadness and the tragedy, and how we learn sometimes about mortality through having pets as children. That's one of the reasons that we have pets. That's one of the life lessons that we learn from that. And it's all here. And Elvis's young voice, you know, it may not have that kind of operatic oomph or the experience that his later voice would have, but there is something unique and special and untouched and primal, but very, very controlled and beautiful. The way he wields his voice, you know, it's really incredible. And what a beautiful song. Yeah, let's carry on.
As the years fast did roll, Old Shep grew.
Inevitable.
His eyes were fast growing dim.
Oh.
And one day the doctor looked at me and said, I can do no more for him, Jim. With hands that were trembling, I picked up my gun and aimed it at Shep's faithful head.
Blimey.
I just couldn't do it. I wanted to run. I wish they would shoot me instead.
Oh my gosh.
He came to my side and he looked up at me and laid his old head on my knee. I had struck the best friend that a man ever had. I cried so I scarcely could see. Old Sheppy has gone where the good dog is go, and no more with Old Shep will I roam. But if dogs have a heaven, there's one thing I know: Old Shep has a wonderful home.
Wow. Sorry. God, embarrassing. Yeah, God, sorry, but I had dogs growing up, so, you know, I can relate to this. This is a really wonderful example of what Elvis does, and it's incredible that he was able to do this so early, because this is what I've talked about before, which is this incredible really unique combination of technical ability, but raw humanity. You know, you believe Elvis in the way that acting is a great example of that. You've got performative actors. You've got people like Laurence Olivier and Daniel Day-Lewis, where you kind of know that they're acting, and that's their skill is in performative. You know, Derek Jacobi, Patrick Stewart. I think about people like that often. You know, Shakespearean actors, where you're very aware. You know, their craft is in the performance and stage acting. And then you've got like method actors. You know, people who came in, like, you know, for the Marlon Brando generation, who you see now, where you get people who have extremely realistic acting, where you almost feel like you're watching a documentary. And Elvis kind of can do both as a performer and as a communicator. You know, he is able to just do this beautiful vibrato. It's incredibly controlled and technically amazing, extremely well judged. But he's not so technical that it keeps you at arm's length. It still invites you in. You know, it still feels relatable and human, and imperfect, perfectly imperfect. You know, I think that's the phrase I've used before with Elvis. But also the song, the fact that this is a story song. You know, we'd see this later with, you know, obviously, you know, Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash. That's a very famous one. Lots of songs that, you know, Bruce Springsteen, you know, Nebraska, those songs as well, Highway Patrolman. But this is a really sweet narrative. It's really simple. It's a really basic human sentiment that I think we can all relate to. And there's something about the way that Elvis sings this song that makes me feel that there was a really strong emotional connection. I don't know whether he had a dog. I mean, I know he had a rural background, so closeness to animals is probably a natural thing. But also, I would imagine, I don't know the derivation of this song. I mean, I know, obviously, Elvis wasn't a songwriter. His biographical element in his songs was in his choice of songs and his performance and his arrangements and the way he presented those songs. But I almost feel like this is a song that maybe Elvis grew up on, you know, that there's a connection to his childhood, even if it isn't a direct biographical connection about a dog that he had. I definitely feel some kind of genuine emotional connection happening here. And I do wonder whether it's just that this was a song that he grew up singing, maybe. That's a feeling that I get from this. So that was really, truly tremendous. And again, a wonderful example of how much soul and emotionality, because Elvis is a very complicated figure as far as the history of masculinity in popular culture goes. He did play tough guys in movies, and he was very masculine, but at the same time, there was an androgynous element to him. He would wear eyeshadow. He did pout. One of the reasons he was so attractive to women was the fact that he did seem to have an understanding of femininity. And I think that the emotionality of lamenting, sadly, a childhood pet is a level of emotional vulnerability which I think is really brave and forward-thinking and quite complex for the time. So, no, what a wonderful performance. Tell me what to cover next. Likes and subscribes very much appreciated. Set your alerts so you know when there's new content coming out. Check out the other stuff on this channel, and also very much appreciate donations via PayPal. But of course, if and only if you can afford to do so without causing yourself any financial hardship. So, yep, see you soon. Bye-bye.